Hey, good morning everybody. It's Adam with Momentum Construction and Design. Thanks for joining me for another morning with Momentum. I just drove into work. It's obviously the morning, and I had a couple meetings yesterday and last night that reminded me that we need to do a better job at helping people understand what do projects cost and how we estimate. Obviously, as a consumer myself, whenever I buy something or make an investment, I want to know what it's going to cost. It's a super fair question. I could totally understand where people are coming from when they ask that, and we honestly get asked that weekly, sometimes daily. So here at Momentum, as one of the owners, I help my business partner Drew and I. We run different parts of the business, and we have our general responsibilities. But one of my other main responsibilities is the estimating and contracts at Momentum. Having said that, it's a very big part of my professional life. I love doing it, but I also stay up at night thinking about it and the challenges that come along with it. And the reason I call them challenges is because when a consumer or a client homeowner comes to us and says, I want a kitchen remodel, what does that cost? The unfortunate early answer before we know things is, I don't know yet. And that can be hard to hear as a homeowner, because you want answers. You want to know what is this going to cost me? How do I move forward without this information? And it's unfortunately just the reality of where we're at in the process. So if you come to me and you don't know what your cabinets are, you don't know what your countertops are, you don't know your doorknobs, cabinet hardware, plumbing fixtures, lighting fixtures, the general layout, structural concerns if we're moving walls, all those things play into what does the project cost. And typically when someone comes to us, we don't have that information yet. There are times, and we welcome this, when people come to us with plans already done, or they're working with another designer so things are established. That's a little bit different conversation because we're further along in the process. But normally, because we're a design build, our clients come to us with just ideas and visions, which is great. An analogy I like to use that helps me think about this, or kind of helps me explain this in a different way, is if there's two people who want dinner and they want to know how much does dinner cost. That's sort of like someone coming to us and say, I want a kitchen. What does my kitchen cost? Well, there's a lot of different ways to have dinner, right? You can make it yourself with things at home. You can make it yourself with a trip to the grocery store. And then in more of our case, you can have dinner by maybe going out to eat. So let's set aside the people who are going to make dinner on their own, because that's sort of like do-it-yourselfers who are going to remodel on their own. That's not something we get involved with, because we're a full-service design build company. We're involved in the entire process. So let's say someone wants to go out to dinner. All right. Does this person want, are they very budget conscious and they want something quick and easy and low cost? Well, that would be something like going out to fast food, right? The price is where you want it to be, lower. You're getting it done quickly, and you are making compromises, right? You're making compromises on the quality of the food, the taste, the experience. So that is just a different thing in itself. We can do projects similar to that. There's only so much we sacrifice in quality and materials and things, but we have ability to do things at lower cost. And then most of our clients come to us and they say, we're going to be here for a while. This is a kitchen we want to invest in because it's an important part of our home, and right now it's not functional. So that client might be someone who is more going to go out to eat to a nice restaurant, right? They want a menu that's well designed by a chef. They want people in the kitchen and serving them that are professionals and know what they're doing and good at it. And they want a quality meal at the end, right? They want it to have good ingredients, to be prepared correctly, and to taste good. Well, it's kind of like a well remodeled kitchen where you have specific professionals providing the design, the selections, planning, executing the project, and then in the end you have a good experience. And the difference obviously is with going out to eat. Once you leave the restaurant, that experience is just a memory, and hopefully a good one. But with us, when you finish a kitchen, it's something you're going to be walking into every day. So that's something that sticks with you. So there are differences in my analogy, but it sort of helps paint a picture of why it's hard to tell somebody when you first meet them, what does this cost? There are so many questions we need answered. And the nice thing is that we do have a way to circumvent this challenge. And in past videos, or videos that are already up that you can go back and look at, we talk about the momentum process, and I won't get into the details of that. But basically that process is intended to navigate these challenges. So when we meet with you and you want to know what your project costs, first of all, there's information on our website about what general pricing is. It's not letter of the law, it's a generality to make sure we're talking the same language, right? Is my bathroom remodel going to be $10,000 or is it going to be $100,000? Like there's tools in there to help you see kind of where you fall. But more specifically, if you have a home visit with us, we will collect as much information as we can with questions and pictures and letting you talk to us and asking important questions. We come back to you with what we call project analysis. Honestly, that's a fancy way of saying a rough estimate. It's not terribly rough, but it is rough at this point because we don't have all our details. But the way we come up with that is we take the project you told us and we think about our past projects, which we have a lot, and we compare that with your project, and we take our historical data of what that project costs, whether it's square footage, lineal footage of kitchen cabinets, all those little data points, and we compare it with yours, and we come up with a range. The range is intended to be a lower end and a higher end depending on what materials you select and how much work needs to be done. Now, we also have to adjust it for current industry pricing, right? A job that we did in 2020 is a lot different than the cost of a job right now in 2026. So there's ways we have to finesse that number. But in the end, we give you a viable range of what we think you need to invest. And at that point, after we get to know each other and maybe you meet our team, we then talk about, is this the right fit? Financially, is this the right fit? Do we think our personalities work well together? Are we going to be able to do a successful project for you? And you have to ask yourself the same question. So let's say we move forward and we still just have that range, right? Because we haven't done the design process, which comes next. And in our design process, we think of it in two different methods. And we'll talk to you about this when we're working together, but there is what we call a design-driven budget, or excuse me, a design-driven design and a budget-driven design. When we're doing a design-driven design, we're tailoring the entire design experience and process around the important features you want, the pains we're trying to solve, and we're selecting materials that appeal to you without completely focusing on the budget. So we may select a countertop stone that's a little bit pricier because of the imagery you've provided that you like, or our designers may add certain lighting features that aren't standard because of they have their reasons. I'm not a designer, as you can tell. But point is that we're focused on the design. With a budget-driven design, pretty obvious that we focus on those end numbers. If you have a ceiling you want to invest and you cannot go over it, we're going to make design decisions to accomplish that. We're going to select the right materials that fit within your budget. So we go through those two processes, which are both good options. There's no right or wrong, it just depends on your goals. We go through that whole thing, and in the end we have a bid meeting. So now we have construction drawings, we have materials selected by our design team and you, and we have a scope of work defined and specifications. At that point we have a bid meeting which is when myself as the estimator and a few members of my team, along with all our trade partners and vendors, meet at your home and we start collecting official quotes for the work. We start getting hard cost, and the picture starts becoming more clear because we have more answers. So we have, actual quantities of things. We have actual selections of materials and counts of how many there are, and I start compiling the estimate or the bid to include all those items. At the end of all this, we have a fixed price because we've gone through this process. And if everything works out great, we're within that range. But it's the real world, and things don't always fall in that range, and that's okay. It happens more than you think. If we fall outside of that range, we first of all hope that it doesn't, and we try to give you options and answers of why. And a good example is, during the process, let's say the client said, we just don't like any of these standard paint finishes from the cabinet company. We would really like a custom color. All right. That's probably going to drive up the price, right? And they say, we talked about a tile backsplash, but we've seen a quartz solid surface backsplash, and we just fall in love with it. That's something we want. All right. That's going to drive up the price. When we start identifying these items, we can start separating them out and giving you options for those upgrades. It's something you don't need, it's something you want, and it's something beyond what we have talked about, so we can give you those things. It's really a collaborative effort to take your vision and your dream with our design and meld it into a fixed price that we're all comfortable with. It takes work. It's work we're happy to do, we enjoy doing, we do it every day, we have the tools to do it. But the point is what does your project cost? I don't know yet. It takes time to get there. But in the end, if this is something that you are interested in doing with us, we have the right team, the right processes to get this done, and we'd love to do it for you. Thank you for listening to me, and we hope that this helps people understand how we price things